Hi, everyone. I'm Lorianne. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I am with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas, and we would like to welcome you to our Lift Your Story podcast.
So, in this episode, we're pleased to have Christa Andrews, and she's a certified life and marriage coach. So, looking forward to hear more about that. Thank you for being here, Christa.
Thank you for having me.
So,
It's a
Christa,
snowy day here in Rhode Island.
well, it's nice and sunshiny in Dallas, Texas.
Ugh, I'm jealous.
So, I understand you're in the process of writing a book.
Yes, I'm in the process of writing my first book. It's called Always Remember to Kiss Me Goodnight. It's a guide to have a loving marriage long after the honeymoon.
Oh, I need to read that so I can learn how to have a nice marriage.
I've been married for a long time. So myself and my husband have input into the book, and we share lots of tips and tricks to have a long, successful, happy marriage. And we're happy to share it with all of our couples.
Great. How long have you been married?
I've been married almost 25 years, although we've been together longer. We have a 31-year-old son. We have a 28-year-old son, a 23-year-old daughter, and a 21-year-old son. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Big family.
Yep, big family. We've been through ups and downs and all of that, but the last several years have been really good. I think sometimes you have to hit your rock bottom to be able to get to the good things. So that's where we are, and we're happy to share that with all of our couples.
So that's when you get past that. I just wanted to say about this, always remember to kiss me goodnight. I had a couple friends, and now he was on his second marriage, but one thing that he did realize was that there was a lack of that. And even when I'd go in, because I was doing his accounting, and his wife would say, okay, I've got to go now. They said, we never leave the house without kissing each other goodbye. And I thought, isn't that just beautiful? I did it with my children, but I never thought to do it with my husband.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, one of our little tips that we share in the book, and also every time we do marriage coaching, we share our 5-minute rule. And what that looks like is when anybody comes home at night, within the first 5 minutes, it's got to be met with positivity. You know, there's things you can talk about, how your son got a D on his report card, or the phone bill needs to be paid, but it's not happening in the first 5 minutes, because the first 5 minutes actually sets the tone for the whole rest of the evening. So we love sharing little tips like that with our couples, and those little things are what help and make a relationship last.
Yeah, I can see where that could turn around the rest of the evening.
Yeah, it definitely does. When we started implementing that many years ago, it's like it's a game changer. And it's funny because sometimes you will come home and you're in a bad mood or whatever, but we always are like, hey, wait, it's the first 5 minutes. We're not going there yet. So it can be lighthearted, and it's not always perfect, but if you're all on the same page and can remind each other, it just makes it so much better.
Well, I have a question. So you've been together over 25 years.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say you're 25th anniversary type. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand one thing. How can people be married for 25 years and then get a divorce?
Yeah, I honestly think that the connection probably was lost long before that 25-year mark, whether, they were child-centric marriages. A lot of times we see that they're always putting their children first and not their relationship. And then they wake up one day and the kids are gone, and there's nothing left for them because they weren't sharing everyday experiences and forming that connection throughout all of the years. Well, because a lot of times you'll put your relationship on the back burner, but if you don't make it a priority, it's not going to last.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I remember my wife's parents, they were all focused on the kids.
Yeah.
And then my sister-in-law went off to college. We got married, And then her brother graduated from high school like the next year.
Yeah.
And I can remember it was like 6 months there, they were lost.
Mm.
I mean, because everything was focused around them, and it took
Yep.
them a while to readjust.
Yeah.
And even that, when we first got married, we started having kids. We said, look, we don't want to be like your parents.
Right.
We've got to keep our relationship alive.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
we made a conscious effort to make
Yep.
sure everything wasn't only the kids.
Yeah, that's so important. I mean, when your babies are little, it's hard to, you're so focused on them, and you have to be when they're first born, because they rely on you for everything. But I always say, once they can start going to birthday parties, once they can start having their own friends, let them have their own lives. Don't revolve your life around them. Let them know that they are here because they're encompassed in our love. And it's not the other way around, which a lot of people will even shame you if you say, oh, my husband and my marriage are very important. People will be like, even over your kids? Well, I mean, all of them are important, but you have to, your spouse is the only person that is related to you that you actually get to choose. Anybody else, you can't choose who's related to you, and you have to make that a priority.
I was shamed for that too. People would say to me, they'd ask me, my girlfriends, they go, what's more important to you, your husband or well, I am divorced, by the way, but back then,
okay. Yeah, that's okay.
your husband or your children. Now, in my husband's case, the children came first. Actually, money came first, then the children, then friends, then me. And that we got in the counseling,
not good.
which was the wrong way.
You're divorced.
Yeah. Right? But to me, it was the father first and then the children, because when you're together as a couple and you're working together, it solidifies. I got that from my parents because that's how they brought us up. And but yeah, our next generation, my generation was really, I go, yeah, because when my kids grow up and go away, he's the one that I'm left with.
Yeah.
So I have to, that was important to me. Didn't work out, but that was my mindset. But you're so right that you're shamed for thinking that way.
Yeah. When in my eyes, I honestly think everybody is important. My spouse and my children and myself. If you're not all important, then it's not going to feel good and it's not going to feel right. Yeah.
But I do understand what you're saying, though, in regards to it's not that your husband takes priority, but there has to definitely be a priority involved, not all child centric. Definitely.
Right. And you know what? Some days my kid needs my attention more than my husband, or some days I need more attention. And that's what it's like to be part of a family, knowing that each one may need more importance on a certain day. And to, just realize that.
Yeah, it was interesting because you were talking about, your kids and all, because maybe my oldest son's almost 46. So we were talking, probably about 3 weeks ago, and he was talking about, him growing up. He just talked about something, and he says, yeah, but Dad, I always felt protected and loved when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And I was kind of, shocked by that. He said, that's one thing. I always felt that I was protected and loved growing up.
Yeah.
Thought,
so
wow.
important. Yeah.
Sorry.
My parents actually were those, especially my mother, the child-centric mother, and she wasn't always the greatest wife, and they actually ended up getting divorced after 35 years. So so it was actually really important for myself and my husband to not go down that road either. His father had passed away when he was 5, so he never really had that type of relationship, but it was always important for us raising our kids to be very good role models for what a relationship should look like, because someday they're going to go off and pick their own partners, and we wanted to give them a strong foundation of what that actually looks like.
So I just wanted to hear a little bit, just your fun story. Tell people you became a wedding officiant. I say that right, officiate.
Yeah, wedding officiant. Yep, by pure accident. About 3 years ago, I was working in corporate America. I was in medical sales, working for a big hospital, doing all of their sales for all of New England. And my niece came to me and she was like, Auntie, would you mind officiating my wedding? And I was like, she's like, I admire, you know, that you're able to do public speaking and you have such a good relationship with Uncle. I would be honored if you would do that. So I was like, I'll look into it. And I did her wedding. And from there, I got so many people saying how that was beautiful. It was touching. They laughed, they cried, they did all of that. And they were coming to me and asking me if I would perform their wedding. So that's how I started out my business. And I was actually able to leave my corporate job all by accident. It's been like the best 3 years ever. So much fun. And then I wanted to write the book to help more people. And then my husband and I actually realized that there was a need for a pre-marriage course. So we created that, and a lot of our couples and other couples that we don't even marry go through that course. And then I was also finding out that there needed to be support during marriage too. And most of the time, if there's a problem in the marriage, women usually are the ones that will come and say, there's a problem, I need to fix it. So I actually created a course and program directed towards women to help them if they're having any difficulties during their marriage. And it's been a whirlwind for the last 3 years.
So in Rhode Island, what do you have to do to get certified, I guess?
In Rhode Island, it's actually very easy. I did it all online. I did an online ordination. It was very quick and easy. I can actually marry people in almost every state in the United States. So, okay. But I'm just right now, I stick to the New England area.
Yeah, so it's recognized by the state. So it's
yep. They're in different counties and different states. There's different rules that you have to follow. So whatever county or state that you're in performing the marriage, you have to know the laws and the rules and make sure that you abide by them to make sure that the marriage is legal when you're performing it. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes in behind the scenes, but yeah.
Well, so now you're not a marriage counselor.
Nope. Marriage counselor. Yeah, marriage coach. Yep.
So tell me kind of how that works.
So being a marriage coach, you actually try to let the couple, you ask lots and lots of questions and have them try to figure out the answers being coached by you, instead of a marriage counselor actually puts a lot of like science into what they do and how to get them through their problems. Okay. But with the coach, it's a lot of mind work and to help them solve problems. And I also offer lots of tips and tricks and experiences from my own personal things that had happened during our marriage. And it's been very well received.
So if Lori Ann and I wanted to get married, do you have a pre-wedding course you do? Hey, let's get together, let's talk about this stuff, and then kind of say, okay, now you're ready to get married.
Yeah. So I offer a couple different options, because I always tell my couples it's up to you how you want your marriage and your wedding to be. It's not my day, so I can't choose or decide. But I tell them I have a marriage course, a pre-marriage course. If you'd love to take that, I would be more than happy to have you do that. Or if you just want me to perform your wedding and be there for that day, either way, I have questionnaires that they go through, so we can tell exactly what their needs are and how I can best serve them.
Okay.
I think it's almost important to have an assessment. I know it's kind of nuts that a lot of people do get married and there's the red flags all over the place, and they even see it before they get married. They go ahead and, sure enough,
Yeah.
that's going to end at some point. It could take 3 years, it could take 10 years, it could
Yeah.
take 20 years. But quite often, I believe the red flags started, not always, but quite
Right.
often, they started even before you got married. And we
Yeah,
don't have
absolutely.
somebody to do those assessments, say, you know what, do you really want to get married, guys? Because you know what, Lorianne, you know what she does. And, hey, John, you know what, Lorianne, you know what John does. Like, do you really want to marry each other? Because
Yeah.
it's just going to get worse unless you deal with it now. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes a lot of people have the misconception that once they get married, all their problems are going to be fixed. Once we're married, we're just going to live happily ever after. Yeah.
That's such a Disney thing. I'm sorry. No.
No, I know. Honestly, I see a lot of couples put a lot more money and effort into the actual planning of the wedding day than they do they're planning their lives afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that often, and you can't help everybody, but anybody that comes to me, I try to point them in the right direction and try to make them see that it's more than just a wedding day.
Mhm.
It's a lifetime.
Yeah, I have a niece that's her. If I could just get married, I would be happy.
Yeah.
Everything would be great. And my wife goes, "No, you just have another set of problems. All you have."
Oh yeah. And often I also see, especially younger couples now, they're receiving advice from their parents and grandparents, which is outdated information. So when they're getting this stuff, it's just causing more problems in their relationships now. I had a bride recently. She's like, but my grandmother told me, that I should always serve him and put him first and do this and all of that, which is nice. But where do you come in this picture? That's very much outdated information. I often say there's 3 things for a successful marriage, and it's you, your partner, and the us in our relationship. And if you consider those 3 things, you're going to have a successful marriage.
Okay, I almost started crying there because I watched the movie The Story of Us, and that was very compelling to watch that one. Kind of laughed though, because Roy posted on his Facebook, he goes, "What's on your anti-bucket list?" I said, "Getting married again."
I'd be happy to perform your marriage if I could.
If I ever find someone, that's the other thing too. I just sit there and I go, I'm not putting it out in the universe right now. I was married for 15 years, have 3 beautiful children from it. I don't regret the time, but it makes it a lot more difficult when someone's gone through a difficult divorce to, really think, do I want to go through this again? It's
right.
It's so, you almost need the other thing on the other side for those people who didn't get through it. You need the opposite. How to marry yourself again,
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yep.
But I will keep you in mind, but I'll have to go to the States. I'm in Canada, so.
That's right.
So
well, New England in the summertime is beautiful.
Yeah. It's beautiful in the fall too.
Yeah.
It is. It's just the cleanup after the fall. It's a lot.
As long as you get out of there before the snow, that's the main thing. Just get away before.
Yeah, we got about 12 inches last night here.
Wow.
Now we were supposed to get, I guess in inches, we were supposed to get about 5, and we only got about this much, which I was sitting there going, thank goodness, because I do all the shoveling, but I was surprised that we didn't get that much. So there was obviously that what they were calling for probably just shifted, because I'm not too far from you really in the scope of, location.
Yeah.
So you were talking before about the red flags, okay?
Yeah.
So, and I know it's easy for people when they're, I don't know if they don't see it or they choose not to see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I believe they choose, most of the time, I believe they choose not to see it. They're just, some people are afraid to be alone too. So when they're finally in a relationship, they are going to do everything to stay in, even if they're not happy. A lot of people just don't put themselves first and truly love themselves, and they'll stay in a shitty situation just for the lack of being, they don't want to be alone.
Yeah, because it's funny, somebody get married and then they'll break up and they'll go, golly. So, well, I could have told you, or I tried to tell you. They'll go, why
Yeah.
didn't you tell me? What do you mean? I told you 100 times. So did so and so, so and so, so.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to work. We tried to tell you.
That's a good observation, but this is where Christa, you were saying too, speak to me because, your parents or whatever, it can be outdated. But the other thing too is talking to your friends. Like I'd say, you wanted, hey, mom and dad, what do you think of him? Oh, we love him. And then after the divorces, we never really liked him, kind of thing. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not exactly
Yeah,
what we said.
that happens often too. Yeah.
Right. So at least if you're going in, as I said, and go to someone like you and you do the assessment and go, you know what, I'm a third party here. I don't think this is going to work unless you guys either fix this or don't do it. You need that honest, brutal thing at the beginning, just because, oh yeah, I'm your parent. I don't even know if I could tell my daughter, if she was with someone I didn't like. I mean, that's not the point now, but to say, hey, hon, my mother didn't have a problem with it, but I don't know how I would feel about telling her I don't think he's right for you because I'm her mother. I'd rather someone else, third party, to tell her.
Yeah, it's so important to have a third party because you get all of that, and actually I do coach my couples. If they're having a problem, don't go to your friend, don't go to your mother, don't go to anybody close to you. Go to a counselor or a coach, a third party, because you actually shouldn't discuss any of your marital problems with anybody but your spouse and a professional that's able to deal with it. Because I see often, women go or men go to their friends, or women go to their mothers or friends and talk about all the bad things in their marriage. And then they turn their marriage around. And then their friends are like, well, I don't know how you could stay with them after knowing all of this. They shouldn't know it. They shouldn't know it.
A lot of us are guilty of that, though. I have to say, I was guilty of that too during my marriage. It's hard, but you're right. If you can guide them at the beginning to say, this is something, it's not right. That's important. I was never told. So you do go to the people closest to you. You don't think about going to a coach and saying, hey.
So let me tell you about being that guy. Okay. So my wife and I started dating in high school, and I got out of school 2 years before she did. So when she graduated, we got married. Well, and her parents were great to me. I can't say anything bad about them, but they weren't thrilled. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but, so they tried to talk. You haven't dated enough people. You need to go, call you blah, 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 blah. All right. So fast forward 40 something years.
Mm-hmm.
So her parents' health was declining, and we took them to dinner, and we were bringing them back home, and we were talking and said, well, if y'all need us, call us if you need us to do something, get whatever. And so my mother-in-law was sitting behind me, and she says, Roy, you're a pretty good guy.
After all those years.
Only took 40 seconds.
That's funny.
And then I had an aunt. We were at a family reunion on my mother's side of the family, and so my aunt goes, where something came about when we got married, which was back in the 70s. And she says, "Yeah, we didn't think it was going to last." And I said, "We who?"
Yeah, exactly.
She goes, "Everybody." So I asked my mom. I said, when Barbara and I got married, was everybody thinking we weren't going to last forever? She goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, Aunt Gloria is." She says, "Well, I don't know. I never thought that." And I said, "Well, the way she talked to everybody in the family thought that way." Well,
honestly, my husband and I were that couple. We were married in our 20s, and they were like, "Are you sure you want to do this? You're so young. It's never gonna last." Our friends, our family, nobody was quiet about it. Like they voiced all of their opinions, and some of them have been married and divorced since, and we're still together. So
it's interesting because all my friends, "Oh man, don't get, you're crazy, you're stupid." And then I see them now, they go, "Man, I wish I could have found somebody like Barbara," and that's, "Boy, you were smart." I said, "I told you back then I knew what I was doing."
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But what I see now with the younger people, and this just knocked me out. This girl that I worked with, her dad owned the company, and she'd been married and divorced. She had a kid. She's getting married again. So I asked her, I said, "Well, you think this is going to make it?" She goes, "Well, if it doesn't, I'll just get a divorce."
Yeah.
I mean,
I
why
know.
would you even go into marriage with that, hey, I got the get out of jail free card here.
Oh,
Nope.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I believe that every marriage goes through its ups and downs, all of them. And it's how you deal with the downs is how it's going to affect your ups. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's the tough thing too. I think when you have children, I always say somebody goes, well, why didn't you ever get married again? And really, I think I had like one boyfriend after, but I thought, in my heart, I still have those silly vows till death do me part. That I think if I got married again, and to me, a divorce is just a piece of paper. It's,
Yeah.
I still have 3 children with him. So I'm not
Yeah.
telling him, he doesn't want, if he hears this, no, I'm not married to her anymore. I paid enough for the divorce. So did I. But the point is that in my heart, that's a tough thing if you're going to be doing those vows to really understand them.
Yeah.
Not all of them are religious, but it is a vow when you're getting
Right.
married, regardless. And
Yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
that we fail to understand the significance of it quite often. So it just becomes easy that when things are getting really rough, in my case, it was really, really tough to stay. But sometimes, you might be able to get it through it if you really.
Yeah, a lot of
right?
people, especially now in this world of self, gratification, you need it right away. They don't put the time and effort. They're just have a problem and they're like, well, I need to get the best, fastest way out. And they don't want to, stick it through and work through the problems,
Yep.
which can actually help you have a better relationship if you actually do stick through and work through, not every situation, but if you're truly in love and meant to be together and you work those things out, you're just going to have a better relationship in the long run.
And then here's the other thing too, I believe, and I know, Roy, we're running at the top of the hour, but I also find that even through going through divorce, mine was pretty painful. It would have been really nice to have a coach to say, you know what, let's try and get you through this. Obviously, there are things here we cannot fix. And
Right.
this marriage really has found its end, but let's try and make this as uncomplicated so that you guys can still like each other.
Yeah.
Move past it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Not all can make it through, but at least if you can make it through and stay friends for the kids' sake too, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Lorianne, you need to be a divorce coach now.
There we go.
New business.
I know, right? I actually, I teach a lot of self-help stuff in everything that I do. And a lot of it just comes down to learning what's inside of you, how to push through barriers and blocks. And I always say, I don't think that everybody should stay married because some people shouldn't. And I'm all for that. But I always say, just learn things about yourself, learn your triggers, learn what makes you angry, learn so much about yourself. So then when you go into your next relationship, you're going to bring yourself with you and you're going to be a better person going into that next relationship. If you work on yourself a little bit before you actually go into that next relationship.
I really like that.
So
yeah.
How can our listeners reach out to you?
So they can reach me at www.christaandrews.com, and it's CHRISTA Andrews, ANDREWS. Through my website, they can all of my contact information is on the website.
Beautiful.
Great.
A lovely story and lovely to talk to you about this. It's
yeah, so much fun.
It was.
Thank you.
Really.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll be following up. We always say, maybe 6 months down the line, we'll catch up with you again and see what's new with your book.
Perfect. I would love to.
Did you tell her about the group, Lorianne?
Yeah, we'll tell her. Just one moment.